They have fired the engines on this brisk afternoon at Rockingham, North Carolina, and set to roll down pit road and begin the Protecta-Liner 200. Brett Bodine is on the pole. On the outside is five-time national champion and defending champ Jack Ingram. In row number 2, second-generation driver Larry Pearson with another former national champion, L.D. Ottinger.
In row 3, we find Tommy Houston, and alongside him, another second-generation driver, Davey Allison. Row 4, Dale Earnhardt, and outside Earnhardt, Rick Mast.
In the 5th row, Morgan Shepherd, a refugee from the Winston Cup circuit, and Charlie Luck, who has Sam Ard as crew chief. Mike Alexander, the former national short track champ, in row 6 with Joe Henry Thurman.
In row 7, the brother of Ron Bouchard, Kenny Bouchard. Alongside him, Jimmy Hensley. Row 8, we find David Boggs and Rodney Howard.
Howard with the only Ford in the field. In the 9th row, Ronnie Silver next to Brad Teague out of Tennessee. Kenny Burks is in the 10th row with another second-generation driver, Ed Barrier.
In row 11, we find Brett Hearn, and alongside him, out of Canada, Larry Pollard. Row 12, Wayne Patterson out of Richmond, Virginia, and out of the Tidewater area, Eddie Falk.
Dale Jarrett, whose dad won 2 Winston Cup championships, shares row 13 with Robert Ingram Jr. Jack Bland and Bosco Lowe are in the 14th row.
Row 15, Elton Sawyer Jr., and alongside him, Rodney Fouché. Row 16, Jimmy Horton, and alongside Jimmy comes Dickie Limbaugh.
Mike Bonicelli from Colorado and North Carolina's John Linville have the 17th row, and at the back of the field, Rounder Severance in an Oldsmobile and the Chevrolet of Mike Williams. That's the 36 car lineup as the Pontiac safety car heads them off into the corner, and we're just a moment away from the start.
And this new pavement, just a year ago this racetrack was paved, so I think this race is going to be one of the most exciting we've ever seen at this Speedway, Mike.
Brett Bodine in only his second year of Grand National competition against the 5-time champ and 20-year veteran Jack Ingram. What do you look for on the start, Benny?
Well, I think that Bodine certainly is going to try to get down in turn 1 on the bottom of the racetrack because that is the groove. This racetrack, you need to be right on the bottom. He's going to try to get there first.
Bodine, the white 00s. Ingram in the green number 11. We'll be back for the green flag. This time off turn 4, we'll look for the green flag in the Protecta-Liner 200. Brett Bodine and Jack Ingram up on the front row. Larry Pearson with L.D. Ottinger, Tommy Houston and Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt with Rick Mast, and Morgan Shepherd alongside Charlie Luck, the front 10. Boy, Ingram gets a jump on the start.
Boy, what a great start Jack Ingram got. I just can't believe that Brett Bodine let him get that. Oh, we see a smoker already, someone back in the middle of the pack smoking. Look at Ingram drive away, Mike.
Quickly, the field goes single file here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Jack Ingram on the left of your screen, Brett Bodine, L.D. Ottinger, the front 3, Larry Pearson has the 4th spot, and the entire inside row on the start looked like they each backed up a spot.
L.D. Ottinger went in turn 3. I saw he was just a little bit too high. If the car isn't handling any better than that, they're going to drop kick the All-Pro Auto Parts car back.
A lot of smoke from Ed Barrier's car. His dad, Max, a former modified driver of NASCAR. And he is slow as Dale Jarrett. The rest of the field goes by. Ingram off turn number 4, back to the start-finish line. And the battle is back at 4th position as Tommy Houston slides underneath Larry Pearson.
As I said at the top of the show, the bottom of this racetrack is the fastest way around. When you get position on a car down the straightaway and you're on the inside, that means you have the spot.
I look at Barrier and the mosquito repellent he's laying down as he heads for pit road. Front 2 cars off the corner. Side by side, Houston now wants the 3rd spot from L.D. Ottinger.
Tommy Houston on the move, moving right up. Great beginning for Tommy Houston today.
Houston, car number 6, the Southern Biscuit Flour Buick, started in the 5th spot. And now here is Bodine latched on to the rear bumper of Jack Ingram for the lead.
After that start, it looked like that Jack Ingram was going to drive away, but no, Brett Bodine pulls up right on his back bumper. Looks to me like he's going to make a bid for the lead. No, he's going to wait till the back straightaway.
Bodine had a look inside. Interesting racetrack, Rockingham, and here's Morgan Shepherd on pit road with a Buick. Not a good sign.
Certainly isn't a good sign. This is one of the cars that had an opportunity to win this race, one of the better cars that had an opportunity to win, and a great race car driver in Morgan Shepherd.
Looks like rear end trouble. We'll try to get word from Dick Bergeron. Bodine is really harassing Ingram as they come off turn 4, looks to the inside and will challenge Ingram for the lead. Nothing doing.
You got to get alongside down the straightaway, Mike. You can't wait till you get to the corner and dive in there beside of him, because what's going to happen, the fella's going to cut down, you're going to collide, there's going to be an accident.
Here's third, fourth, and just out of view on the right side of the screen, fifth. Tommy Houston, car number 6, Larry Pearson. In 21, the fourth place car. Then Ottinger is in 5th, and Dale Earnhardt, who started 8th, has worked his way up to 6th spot.
Earnhardt certainly on the move. Tommy Houston closed the gap. He's just a couple of car lengths back. This may be Houston's day.
And there is Barrier coming off pit road, but continuing to smoke. He'll get black flagged by starter Harold Kinder.
Certainly he's losing a great deal of oil, and NASCAR just can't allow these cars to drop oil in the groove of the racetrack, because these tires have no tread. When they hit that oil, they spin out and create, when they start spinning around, other cars are going to hit them, or they're going to hit the outside retaining wall.
Lead change as Brett Bodine snuck underneath Jack Ingram. Now Tommy Houston puts Ingram, the meat and the sandwich, as they go down the back straightaway. The back stretch here at Rockingham is straight, but as you'll see from our turn 1 camera, the front stretch there is kind of D-shaped. I think we've seen enough of Ed Barrier for today. Back to the pits.
I'm sure it's a bitter disappointment for Ed Barrier, because his car is running well, just it has an oil leak that they can't repair in time to go racing this afternoon.
First and second spot, young Bodine out of New York State, now makes his home in North Carolina. Very successful on the NASCAR Modified Tour.
Coming off turn 4 is really a great straightaway for racing, Mike, because as you come off turn 4, it's easy to get off that corner. The car just gradually comes off. Now, this is a tough spot on the racetrack. Coming off turn 2, as you mentioned, that back straightaway is straight. And when you come off the turn, the car has a tendency to go out to the outside retaining wall. Very difficult corner. This one, easy.
Michigan International Speedway, Texas World Speedway, and Charlotte Motor Speedway, all built very similarly. So if you've ever been to one of those, that pretty much describes Rockingham.
Exactly right. Bodine got by Jack Ingram, but Jack certainly isn't letting him go. Looks like he's going to make a bid down the back straightaway. No, he can't make it.
No, it looks like Jack is driving a very conservative race. He got off to a good start, but when he saw Bodine filling up his rearview mirror, I think he let him go.
You think so? I don't know. Jack Ingram's been around a long time. He wants to be in front if he possibly can.
Well, now so have you, but if you've got one of these young Chargers that's right on your bumper and you're only 5 laps into the race, would you just let him go and wear his own car out if he wants to?
You probably got a point there, Mike. Jack Ingram, he's staying right on the back bumper of him, though.
Ingram's been in this business just about as long as Bodine has been on this planet.
He's going to try him.
Yeah, he is.
Can't get by, though. He saw the slower car. I think you're right. He is running a conservative race. He started inside. He saw that slower car. Said, no, I'll wait some other lap.
They lap by Michael Williams. And again, head down the back straightaway. The backstretch grandstands are closed this afternoon. They're not empty due to a lack of fans. But everybody's seated on the front side in the sunshine today because it is kind of cool here.
It is kind of chilly. Tommy Houston, meanwhile, he's closed up on the back bumper of the first 2 cars. There he is. That white car right behind the green one. That's the 3rd place automobile. And Larry Pearson, 4th place, right behind him.
It's about to be a good 4-car battle for the lead as they work past Rounder Severance in the back straightaway and up to turn 3. Bodine is the leader, the white 00 car. The green 11 is Ingram. Trouble in turn 2. Spinning is David Boggs' automobile. Sliding off the banking, and he gets T-boned right in the driver's door by Eddie Falk.
Oh, wow. What a terrible, terrible blow David took right in the side of that car.
Where did Falk come from? That car was parked up in the banking. The caution flag was out, and Falk came through there like he was still running at full throttle.
Wow. David spun the car. David Boggs, the 78 that we see, spun the car. He was sitting right dead in the middle of the racetrack and decided he wanted to get out of the middle of the racetrack. He let the car drift down. There we see him. He's going up the racetrack. He doesn't make any kind of contact with the outside retaining wall.
One car just slips by on the outside.
Yes, there is a car that just gets by on the outside. Now the Boggs car stops.
But Benny, he ends up in the one position that every driver fears, with that left door facing the traffic. An interminable length of time. Eddie Falk must have been in turn 4 when the crash started.
Here's a car going by.
Oh, now look. Now he begins to roll down off the banking. He doesn't stay up where the car stopped.
He probably released the brakes so he could drift off the racetrack and get out of harm's way. And here comes Falk. Eddie goes down to the apron of the racetrack to try to dodge the Boggs car, but...
Well, Falk at that point was committed to the bottom lane. If he had a spotter, they evidently had told him the car was up top, and as the car slid down off the banking, Falk came to the inside. But my question would have to be, why was he going so fast?
I can't answer that, Mike.
And for Boggs, Benny, that's got to be a tough decision. You spin the car, you're up there in the high lane. Do you stay put or do you try to roll it off the banking?
Well, that's right. He made the decision to try to let it roll off the banking. And I tell you what, if Boggs isn't hurt, I'll be very surprised, because he took a terrible, terrible blow right in the driver's door.
The safety crews are on the scene now that the field is slowed under caution behind the safety car. And we'll be back to Rockingham in a moment. Under the caution, one more lap, and we'll go back to racing here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. David Boggs has been taken to the local hospital for observation. Eddie Falk is okay.
Well, Eddie Falk had the seat belts going for him because he had a straight ahead shot, and we drivers use very wide shoulder harness, very wide seat belts, and it keeps us retained in the car very well. David Boggs, meanwhile, while he was hitting the side of the automobile, had nothing going for him. And also, all that sheet metal and all those bars in the left side of that car gets pushed over. Your feet is really the problem that you have, because they're kind of dangling around inside the car. They start whopping off roll bars, the pedals, the accelerator. So I'm sure they probably have some type of leg injury.
Yeah, that arm for the brake and clutch pedal has to withstand a lot of pressure. As hard as you guys dump those cars into the corner, so I imagine that would probably be what would be most apt to hurt him.
You're exactly right. Green flag is out. And look at Jack Ingram going by on the outside. Brett Bodine once again gets a terrible, terrible start, Mike.
As he did on the initial start of the race, Bodine either got caught napping or the car just will not accelerate in gear.
Well, Brett Bodine, he's been doing this for a long, long time. It's hard to imagine him napping that badly. I think he has a problem trying to get the car going.
Benny, would you take that restart in high gear?
No, you would start in second gear, then shift up to third and then fourth. And there we see a smoker, a very bad smoker coming off turn 4.
Well behind the leaders, though. Coming out of turn number 2, that is Davey Allison.
Yes, that's Davey, the son of Bobby Allison. The car looks like it's running okay, but smoking badly. He's headed for the pits.
Tough break for Allison as Charlie Luck goes past. And there is Davey down off the banking and on pit road. Rick Mast in the midst of a 3-car battle here as they go back to turn number 1. Brad Teague is right there, and Charlie Luck at the tail end of that train. Good racing back behind the lead cars. A challenge to the inside of Mast there, going off the bottom of the screen. 2 and 3 wide racing here in the backstretch.
Boy, these fellas sure are going after it. These cars a little lighter than the Winston Cup. There we see the hood up on the Davey Allison car. As I was saying, these cars are a little lighter than the Winston Cup cars. They get around this racetrack very well.
Tough break for Davey Allison. There's Ingram, the leader, and Tommy Houston, the new second-place car. I think we've got Dick Bergman's audio problem corrected. Let's go to the pits.
As a result of the crash in turn 2, they've taken Eddie Falk off to the hospital for observation. And David Boggs is in the medical center immediately behind me where he was carried in. Boggs is conscious. He's talking to the people that are trying to help him. We have no further information at this time.
Well, if we get an update, we'll pass it along. Hood's back down on the Davey Allison car. And, well, will they go behind the wall or send him back out?
Looks like that they're trying to get him back on the racetrack, but maybe he wasn't quite ready. Maybe he had unhooked the belts or something. There we see Tommy Houston trying to take the lead down in turn 1.
Houston on the outside, and as you've said, Benny, that's not the fast way.
No, Jack Ingram had position on the inside of the racetrack, and as we can see just how evident it is that the groove is on the bottom of the racetrack.
Tommy Houston, since 1982, a 9-time winner on the Grand National Tour. His last win, October at Hickory, North Carolina, on the short track near his home.
Well, you know he wants, and I don't think Tommy has ever had a super speedway win. We'll call this 1 mile racetrack at Rockingham a super speedway, and I don't think Tommy Houston's ever had one. And I'm sure Mason Day, his owner, and Tommy would love to have one here at Rockingham today.
Well, Jack Ingram has had a bunch. He has won 25 times on this circuit. A variety of short track and super speedway victories, and of course, he has won 5 national championships. That's 25 wins. That's just since 1982.
Yes, and we saw the black car behind the lead too. That's Dale Earnhardt. He's got himself in contention to win this automobile race. Meanwhile, Brett Bodine, the pole sitter, is drifting back, Mike. He may have a problem.
That is kind of surprising. That is one of the best prepared cars on the circuit. And Bodine last year, driving for Robert G. in the Levi Garrett car, showed that he is capable of putting the car to the front and winning races. He won 3 times after making just limited appearances. And in fact, he won here on SETN the first race he drove in that car.
Exactly right. When I saw that car, Jack Ingram almost lost it coming off turn 2. As I mentioned a while ago, that's the problem getting off that corner. The wall just simply seems to jump out in front of you when you jerk the wheel away from the steering wheel to keep the car away from the wall. That's what happens. The back end comes out.
Well, if Ingram was being conservative at the start of the race, he definitely is not now.
No, he sure isn't.
Tommy Houston is right on his bumper as they come off 2 and down the back straightaway.
But you might have brought up a good point. Tommy Houston, he's a veteran, just like Jack Ingram. Jack realizes that Houston is not going to run over him. Brett Bodine, only his 2nd year on the Grand National circuit. Jack may not know exactly what he's going to do. He may be concerned that in trying to pass him, Bodine could have hit him, so he decided to let him go. Meanwhile, he realizes Houston, being the old veteran, he's going to stay back there. He's not going to roll me, so I'm going to lead the race.
Ingram won 5 races last year. Houston had 1 victory and ended up 4th in the point standings behind Ingram, Jimmy Hensley, and Larry Pearson, who you see now in the 21 car, having been passed by Dale Earnhardt.
Boy, Earnhardt's car is so black it almost doesn't show up.
Almost blends right in with the racetrack.
Yes, it does.
Another car coasting around toward the pits. I believe that's Kenny Bouchard.
I couldn't catch the number on the car.
No, check that. That will be Mike Williams out of Conover, North Carolina, who started last in the field. And unless he can get that car back on the racetrack, we'll finish right near there. David Boggs is out of the race. Eddie Falk is out, having crashed. Morgan Shepherd has taken his car back to the garage area. Davey Allison, after losing 5 laps in the pits, is back on the speedway.
Earnhardt getting closer and closer. There's a spin between 1 and 2. Car goes up.
That's Pearson.
Same situation. Oh, he stayed there just long enough for that car to get by on the inside. Then he let his car drift down. But fortunately for Larry, there wasn't another car coming.
Larry Pearson, one of the top drivers on the tour, 3rd in last year's point parade.
I saw the car just fire up, and he's driving away.
Pearson won 2 races last year.
And was running very well today. Can't imagine what happened to the automobile.
He's still not moved it. Here's Charlie Luck on pit road. As we mentioned, there is Sam Ard holding the pit board. Sam is the crew chief on Charlie's operation after many, many years as a very successful driver and champion.
That fellow that just dived inside the car, Mike, he is making a chassis adjustment. The quarter panel has plexiglass or windows in them, so they can't reach in there like they normally do on a short track. He had to dive inside the car to turn the bolts and change the chassis.
Let's take another look at this Larry Pearson incident, see if we can figure out what caused Pearson to hit the wall up in turn number 2. Larry is okay. He climbs back in the car as they'll haul it off to pit road.
I can't imagine. Looks like he maybe got in a corner a little bit too wide and got it out of shape. Goes up, hits the wall with the left front fender. The back end goes around, and he comes back.
And he was trailing a bit of smoke as we first saw him there, as if either the car was too loose or perhaps he had engine trouble.
He possibly could have had something go wrong.
In any case, Pearson becomes the 5th car out of the event at lap 37. And that'll be a tough break for his point hopes.
Yes, it sure is. He was just forcing when he came down the racetrack that something didn't happen to him like happened to David Boggs.
Getting ready for the restart. The cars on the lead lap you see on the top lane. Everybody that's a lap down is on the inside.
Well, let's see what happens to Brett Bodine on this restart. He's been having trouble trying to start all day long. Let's see if he can get a good start this time.
Bodine is fourth behind Ingram, Houston, and Earnhardt on the left of your screen in the high groove.
No, he doesn't get a good start again.
Rick Mast goes right around him, and Mast moves up to the fourth spot. The Rockbridge Baths, Virginia driver. Now Bodine is up to speed. He's fifth.
It's almost like he doesn't have second gear, like that he has to start in third or fourth gear. As I said, almost.
Car, middle of the field, just brushed the wall there.
As I said a moment ago, these cars start in second, they shift to third, and then the fourth. Look at Earnhardt right on the back of Tommy Houston.
Dale Earnhardt looking for a win here at Rockingham.
Wow, is he close. I mean, we're talking about inches. And I think maybe he might have touched him between 1 and 2.
Earnhardt, the winner of the Goodies 300 at Daytona, the first super speedway race on this tour. This is the second.
This is just excellent competition, Mike. These cars are so evenly matched. Look, here's 3 cars for the lead, bumper to bumper. There, Rick Mast, fourth place. And look at the gaggle of cars back in the pack.
Now Earnhardt on the right of your screen, he is not the kind of driver who is apt to be patient and sit there and ride in third spot.
Dale Earnhardt is only patient when he's leading. You know, he's patient for the pit stops and that type of thing, but no, he's not going to sit back. He's going to give him a look on the inside. Can't make it. Houston able to pull away down the straightaway just a little bit.
Earnhardt, the black car, running in the third position. Fourth is Rick Mast, fifth is Brett Bodine, and back in sixth is Brad Teague. Earnhardt gives him a little breathing room and then closes right back up in the corner.
Boy, I'm impressed with the way Tommy Houston is running this car today. Maybe one of the best runs I've ever seen Tommy Houston have.
Well, Houston right now is in the sandwich. Can't really afford to challenge Ingram because Earnhardt will be right there underneath him.
Yeah, look at that gaggle going down in turn 1. That's right. If he tries to go on the outside of Jack Ingram, he's passed.
Rick Mast trying to close in the fourth place car. Good racing back in the pack.
That's a great race back in the pack.
That yellow car was Ottinger. Here comes Earnhardt off turn 4. Nothing doing there.
Can't get by. Tommy Houston going down the straightaway very, very well. And going through the turns very well as well.
Ingram, Houston, and Earnhardt, the front 3. Then Rick Mast, Brett Bodine, Brad Teague. And still good battling behind the yellow car there, L.D. Ottinger, and the rest of the field.
Jack Ingram got that skull banded out front and refusing to relinquish that spot.
Houston biding his time, sitting just about 2 feet off the back bumper of Jack Ingram. And now it looks like Earnhardt will be content to ride along for a while.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah, I know the minute I said that, right?
He's right back on the back bumper of Tommy. And Houston goes up the racetrack a little bit.
Oh, in the wall goes Jimmy Horton, the New Jersey dirt driver, and 4 cars are with him.
There's Elton Sawyer in 42, Kenny Burke's 02.
Another car screened there behind Burks. Horton got the worst of it. The 85 car that sits littering the back straightaway. Kenny Burks drives away. And there is John Linville. He was the 5th car involved.
I tell you what, a lot of drivers are very lucky in that situation. That could have been very, very nasty, and it may have been already, but it looks like most of the cars just suffered superficial damage.
There's John Linville's car. The leaders will pit under the caution. Here's Dick Berggren.
Ingram dives into his pit on the yellow flag. He is the first one in. Meanwhile, up the pit road, Brett Bodine has also come in. They're making a spoiler adjustment to the back of Ingram's car. They've also changed the 2 right side tires. Remember, they can change 2 tires under caution this year without a penalty in this division, and they have just done that, and Ingram's on his way.
There's old E.T., Eddie Thrapp himself.
Eddie Thrapp down there running the show in Jack Ingram's pit. Here's a replay. And I think that someone started by the Horton car on the outside. Yes, Kenny Burke started by on the outside. Horton came off the corner, came up. He was touched in the right rear quarter, which just turned him right directly head on in the fence.
Kenny Burks gets hit about 3 different times and spun around. Sawyer was the last car in, and he also hit the outside wall. There goes Burks, the car behind, crunching into the inside retaining wall as Linville's car limps away. And one car, very fortunate not to be involved in that, was Rodney Fouché, who was right in the middle of it and somehow escaped all the carnage.
Elton Sawyer made some pretty heavy contact with the outside retaining wall.
And there's Jimmy Horton, right side of your screen, walking back to the pit area, and it'll be a long ride back to Hamilton, New Jersey. Let's go back to Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff, your little brother started on the pole, but he's slipping back. Were they able to do anything on the last pit stop to help him out?
We don't know what's wrong. The engine loads up on the restarts. It just skips, and it takes about a lap to clear out, and he just fades back. We're trying to find a way that'll stop doing that, but right now that's the problem.
Is it okay under racing conditions?
Car's running great. As soon as he gets going, he starts catching everybody. He's running good under the green, but it's just on those cautions. The engine loads up, and can't figure out why.
So you don't want to see any more caution flags this afternoon?
We'd like to see it keep on going. You know, we've stopped for some gas, and things look good right now for Brett. If the green stays out, he'll be in good shape.
That's the story from Brett Bodine's pit.
Well, Jeff is 36. He's the oldest of the three Bodine brothers that came from Chemung, New York to seek their racing fortunes in the South. We're back under green at Rockingham, North Carolina. Rounder Severance has taken his car to the garage area, while Jimmy Horton, Elton Sawyer, Dickie Linville, and Kenny Burks were eliminated in that crash. John Linville, rather. And Dickie Linville has dropped out of the race. 25 of the original 36 starters still running.
And Tommy Houston finally has the lead. And look, he's trying to put a little distance between he and Ingram. That's a lap car. Looks like Larry Pollard in between Ingram and Houston.
Brad Teague is the third place car as they head back toward turn number 3.
Larry Pollard doing a great job today, keeping that car right up amongst the leaders, but here comes Ingram on the inside.
And Jack Ingram will make the pass on the lap car going into the corner. Brad Teague is third, Earnhardt is fourth, Rick Mast the fifth place car. All in a pack there with the 98 of Larry Pollard, who is a lap down.
And there we see Earnhardt alongside Brad Teague. Coming off the fourth corner, Earnhardt side by side with Teague and Rick Mast. He's trying to figure out which car is going to beat the other one. He wants to be behind the car that's going in front.
Well, then he's got to go to the inside. That's
he
the book on this
chooses Earnhardt.
track. Third, fourth, and fifth place. Good battle here.
Brad Teague did very well through 1 and 2. Didn't lose a lot of distance, but he did lose a spot to Dale Earnhardt. And now Rick Mast on the inside up in turn 3 and 4. Looks like the inside groove has it one more time.
Yeah, all it took was for Teague to move up the racetrack just a little bit going into turn number 3. But he's got a lot of engine. Look at him power down to turn 1.
He sure did come off that corner well, but the inside groove one more time.
You've raced a lot here, Benny. Is that a real helpless feeling? You go into the turn and all of a sudden there's somebody inside you. You just, oh no.
Oh no, because you know that spot has gone away.
Yep.
We saw Tommy Houston on the outside of Jack Ingram, behind Jack Ingram earlier on, trying to get by. Now it's the roles are reversed. Jack Ingram behind Tommy Houston. He's trying to get by.
Houston beat Ingram out of the pits on the last caution flag to take the lead. Here is Earnhardt in the number 8 car. The lapped car of Pollard, then Rick Mast and Brad Teague. Teague jumps to the inside, nothing there. And with him then is Brett Bodine. Bodine is now the 5th, make that 6th place car. There are the leaders. Houston, number 6, in a Buick. Jack Ingram, 11, Oldsmobile. Other than that, other than the names, and there is Earnhardt's car, that's a Pontiac. But if you took the grill off each car, you wouldn't know which was which, would you?
No, you sure wouldn't. I have trouble telling them apart myself.
NASCAR is making a move to change over the body styles on these cars to current model machinery. And there is Dickie Linville. He had been in the pits, come back out, but apparently his day is going to be done.
Boy, this has been a terrible day for the Linville family. We saw John earlier. Oh, Ingram makes the pass going down in turn 1 for the lead. We saw John Linville earlier involved in that accident, and now Dickie Linville looks like he has an engine problem.
Jack Ingram takes the lead for the third time today.
A car almost crashed coming off the second corner. Oh, wow.
This track is has almost more almosts than Darlington, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does. Boy, that was a close. I wish we could go back, but unfortunately we can't.
Third time that Ingram has led today as he takes off, trying to get away from Tommy Houston.
And there's a pole sitter, Brett Bodine, in the garage area, in the pit area, behind pit wall, jacking the car up. Has some serious problems. What a tough break for Bodine.
Well, I'm wondering if now, Benny, the car wouldn't go into any gear.
This possibly does have a transmission problem. Dick Bergen may be going down there to try to find out.
Bodine did coast into the pits and behind the wall for some extended service.
Brett, what's happened? I think we broke a rear end gear, Dick. Started vibrating out of the back end, and I saw some smoke come up in the car, so I just decided to shut it off before we break the drive shaft or something.
His crew now wants to talk to him. Brett Bodine's car is up in the air on 4 jack stands. While some of the members of the crew are working under the rear end, the rest are adjusting that bulky carburetor that was giving him a hard time on restarts.
There's older brother Jeff in the yellow jacket, who won the Daytona 500 this year. The youngest Bodine brother, Todd, runs the NASCAR late model stock car division out of the state of Virginia.
Yes, I saw where he was going to be at Orange County Speedway just the other day. There's Charlie Luck on the outside in the yellow car, passing someone.
Charlie having a good season. He is way up in the point standings.
And as we watch Dale Earnhardt go in turn 1, Charlie Luck, Wayne Patterson out of Richmond, Virginia, side by side, and look, the leaders right behind them. Jack Ingram, Tommy Houston right behind them. Patterson gets by Luck, and here comes the leaders. Dale Earnhardt is able to use in these slower traffic. Earnhardt right up on the back bumper of Houston.
Looks like one of those two cars didn't get a look at the passing flag, Patterson or Luck, because the leaders are there. Ingram, and here is Earnhardt around the outside, and trouble right behind the lead cars. Smoke boiling off the tires. That is the Bonicelli car. Mike Bonicelli spinning up in turn number 2.
Looks like he was so interested in watching the race that he forgot to turn. No, he may have a problem, but caution flag is out.
Benny, when you're following a faster car, you know, Bonicelli had just been lapped. Is there a tendency when you get behind those cars to drive into the corner as hard as they do?
There certainly is, and that may be exactly what happened to Bonicelli. Exactly right, because those fast cars that are running a second a lap faster than you are go down in turn 1. If they can do it, why can't you?
Well, he found out why they're running a second a lap faster. There's Wayne Patterson and Charlie Luck coming around after taking the caution.
And they both saved a lap.
Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Earnhardt beat Tommy Houston in, and they're real pleased that Houston is here. He's motioning to have his windshield wiped. He says, hey guys, I can't see, fix it. And they do indeed. Many of the teams down here on pit road were very concerned about the fuel economy. They were just about as far as they could go without stopping for fuel, and Houston still has a problem with his windshield.
Windshield is a mess, not only on Tommy Houston's car, but several others. A lot of oil got onto the windshields of the race leaders.
Well, Jack Ingram now that means he has changed all 4 tires. We saw him earlier change the right side. Now he's changed the left. Tommy Houston only has the right side.
And here's Davey Allison climbing out of car number 95, and his dad, racing legend Bobby Allison, getting behind the wheel.
How about that? Davey said, okay, Pop, you try it. See what you can do with it. Tell me what's wrong with this thing.
Davey is 5 laps down. As Bobby gets into the car, there's Charlie Luck's car getting serviced right behind Allison's Buick. And both cars pull away. So will we. We'll be back. Getting set for the restart in the Protecta-Liner 200 at Rockingham, North Carolina. I'm Mike Joy with Benny Parsons and Dick Berggren as we get ready for the restart. Dale Earnhardt at the head of the class with Rick Mast and L.D. Ottinger. Davey Allison is out of the race, been replaced by his dad. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Davey Allison, you've just given the keys to the car to Dad. You look pretty tired. What's the problem?
Well, early in the race, we were running 6th right behind Dale Earnhardt, and the power steering hose busted on the going into 3rd turn on the restart. And when it did, it made the car so hard to steer, it just wore me out.
So Dad's a tougher character right now.
Well, we'll just have to see what happens. He might be tired out here pretty soon too. This thing's pretty strong.
And this is what Bobby Allison cut off his son's car earlier. We told you this was a fan belt, sure looks like one, but this is the belt that runs the power steering hose. Bobby's out there steering a real bull of an automobile.
I feel sorry for Bobby Allison, Mike, having to be out there with no power steering. Folks, you can imagine driving your car without power steering, how tough it would be. Look, Earnhardt drifting back.
Well, he's stuck on that outside lane, Benny. Rick Mast has taken the lead. Mast out of Rockbridge, Bass, Virginia. And here is Ingram going right after him on the inside.
Looks like Ingram has it. He's on the inside. Rick Mast has no choice but pull over and let Jack Ingram go by. Oh, L.D. Onger almost loses it coming off the second corner.
Ottinger, the yellow car, running in the third position. Here is Earnhardt going underneath him. And Tommy Houston right behind.
Oh, that was so close. Second corner has been a problem for these cars today, Mike, getting off that turn.
Well, you see now the handling going away on some of these cars. They are all over the racetrack in the corners, some right down on the bottom, others working way up high near the wall. 2 years ago here, you couldn't do that, Benny, even before they paved the racetrack.
No, I tell you, the repaving this racetrack has made it one of the most competitive on the circuit. Before that, it had a very narrow groove on the bottom of the racetrack. When you got out of it, you were in big trouble.
We started to talk earlier about the bodies on these cars. Ingram leading is in an Olds. Rick Mast has a Pontiac. Ottinger, who right now is running third, he has an Oldsmobile, but only the grills differentiate the cars, the grill and the header panel at the nose. NASCAR has approved for 1986 competition the GM A-body type cars, such as the Chevy Celebrity and the Buick Century. Tommy Houston has one of those built.
L.D. Onger went into turn one like he was on dirt. I'm sorry, Mike, to interrupt you, but that was unbelievable how he saved that car. What a great job.
I can't believe he got it back. He was about 30 degrees to sideways.
Neither can I. Whoa.
Tommy Houston goes right after him now. I wouldn't want to follow a car that was working like that either.
It looked like he was on a dirt track going in the corner sideways. Wow, what a great job by Onger. Ooh.
They are battling.
They sure are. L.D. Onger came down, chopped off Tommy Houston.
To finish the story, these new 86 body styles will be used mostly on the short tracks this year. The back window of those cars is pretty vertical and won't allow a lot of air onto the rear spoiler like these fastback cars will. But increasingly, we'll see the new cars being worked into competition.
I tell you what, those rear windows have made such a big difference in the Winston Cup cars this year. Putting those rear windows in the Oldsmobiles and the Chevrolets and the Pontiacs and the Buicks, I think is going to make them competitive with the Ford automobile.
Well, last year on the Winston Cup circuit, and we cover a lot of those races on SETN, Bill Elliott won 11 races. This year, Elliott and all the Ford drivers combined have led a total of only 4 laps under the green flag.
But Kyle Petty does have a victory just last weekend in Richmond, Virginia.
Correct.
Jack Ingram, meanwhile, in this race is trying to check out on him, Mike Joy. He has about a half a straightaway lead.
There's Brad Teague in 75. He is on the lead lap, and he gives a little nudge to Larry Pollard, who is a lap behind. Now, right behind Teague, the 24 car deserves mention. That's Rodney Howard in the Marvin Thaxton Ford. It's the only Ford in the field. The car does not carry any kind of major sponsorship, but he is doing a tremendous job. I think it's the best I've ever seen that car run, Benny.
He is doing a great job, and I tell you what, Brad Teague, one of the better runners in this division. Rodney Howard came up, tried to pass him on the outside. Here's a car spinning. That's Wayne Patterson. He hits the outside retaining wall.
And must have no brakes or steering because he slides right into the inside wall. Caution is out. Wayne Patterson.
It didn't look like the damage to the left front was very severe, but he hit it pretty good with the right front of that car, Mike.
He did, Benny. It looked like he had the car sideways, and he tried to correct it, almost saved it, and perhaps overcorrected going into the wall. We'll try to get another look at it in replay, but it does bring out the caution flag. Here is Rick Mast on pit road. L.D. Ottinger, Dale Earnhardt.
There's a fellow diving inside Mast's car. He's making a chassis adjustment. We saw earlier where a fellow had to dive in the car. Same situation here.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Dale Earnhardt's in, and up the road, Tommy Houston is in, and just a little bit ahead of Earnhardt, L.D. Ottinger is also in. These are routine pit stops, although there's a member of the crew inside Earnhardt's car. He's adjusting the weights to try to improve the handling on that automobile. And down pit road they all go.
Now this car is owned by Earnhardt's wife, Teresa. And he says, if you think I'm a tough customer, you ought to drive for my wife as car owner.
Yes, we see Wayne Patterson. He just simply gets the car a little out of shape off turn 2 where all these cars have been having trouble. You're exactly right, Mike. He tried to correct the car, overcorrected just a little bit.
Boy, I bet he wishes he could freeze frame back there about a second or two.
Yeah, the problem with trying to correct an automobile at this speed, at 130, 40 miles an hour, you can correct that first mistake, Mike, but you can never catch up. Once you do correct a car and it comes back, it's just going to keep going and hit the wall head on, as Wayne Patterson did.
Well, these racing tires get such a good grip that if you turn the wheel to the right to correct, by the time the car gets pointed in the right direction, it's already headed for the wall. Jack Ingram, the 5-time national champion, leads here. Rodney Howard has put the Thaxton Ford up into second spot, and he has led this race while we were away on one of the commercial breaks. Earnhardt is third. Ken Bouchard, whose older brother Ron drives on the Winston Cup circuit, is the 4th place car. Tommy Houston rides along in the 5th position. L.D. Ottinger, Joe Thurman, Dale Jarrett, and Rick Mast.
There Earnhardt alongside Howard going down in turn 1. He takes the spot away, but you're right, Mike. Rodney Howard today, very credible job.
Excellent job in the Marvin Thaxton Ford, number 24.
And we see L.D. Ottinger back still. There was some smoke coming out of the back of that car that time as he goes down in turn 3.
Ottinger in the All-Pro Auto Parts car, number 2, the black and yellow machine. There he is, coming off turn number 4. He's down to the inside. Whatever that smoke is not slowing him up a bit.
No, he's trying to pass every straightaway. He's trying to get in front of the fellow in front. There, we see the car smoking badly.
Tire smoke, Benny?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. He's backed off somewhat right now. Tommy Houston passes him on the outside. As we've watched all day, that just is not the groove, so he had to back off to let Houston do that.
Blue car there is Ken Bouchard. Joe Thurman is the red automobile, number 4. And then Tommy Houston's number 6 in that pack. All racing up toward the front of the field and trying to catch this man, Jack Ingram.
He sure has been running super today, Ingram, and that Skull Bandit has the car running to perfection.
Still smoke out of Ottinger's car. The yellow number 2 machine. There is Earnhardt and Rodney Howard, 2nd and 3rd. Bottom of your screen is Jack Ingram, the race leader.
I would think that NASCAR is probably going to be taking a look at the L.D. Ottinger car and maybe give him a black flag, which is a consultation flag, to come in and check that problem, because it looks to me like it's getting a little bit worse each and every lap.
Dick Berggren is on his way to the Ottinger pit to check that out. There's Tommy Houston, Joe Thurman, and Ottinger. Ahead of them, Ken Bouchard doing an excellent job in his first race at Rockingham. He's a rookie on this tour. The blue car, bottom of your screen, is Bouchard.
He is doing a great job.
Here's Dick.
Although the Ottinger has a definite problem, there's smoke coming out from underneath the car. The team says although it's not affecting the chassis, Speedway officials have been here several times to discuss the problem of the smoking number 2 car of L.D. Ottinger.
Well, they may have to discuss it with the black flag.
And that's a tough break, because as we can see, L.D. Ottinger's car is still running strong, but if he goes in the pits, he's going to lose valuable time to these fellows who stay on the racetrack.
He works under Joe Thurman. That's the battle for 6th position. Front 5, and then that battle for 6th at the top of your screen.
Rodney Howard isn't going anyplace, Mike. He's still right there.
Here's Tommy Houston racing Ken Bouchard for 4th.
That's a great race, side by side down in turn 1. Bouchard, being a rookie, is he going to back off and let the spot go? Yes, show some good common sense there.
And further back, 5th place now belongs to Ottinger. 6th is Thurman, and there is Bobby Allison in the 95 car, 6 laps back.
I tell you what, if the Ottinger car is losing oil, if that is oil that's coming out of that car, he's covering those cars behind him, just covering their windshields in oil, and I'm sure they're going to be complaining to NASCAR very soon via two-way radio. Most of these cars has two-way radios in there. They'll call their crew and tell them that Ottinger is losing oil, which the crew will relay that message to NASCAR, and then comes the black flag.
Jack Ingram, the race leader and the point leader on the Busch Series this year. Here is Dale Jarrett in 32, getting overpassed by Joe Thurman. Hasn't been a great day for Jarrett, who now goes 3 laps back.
He's
Check
trying
that,
to get
2
by.
laps behind.
He's trying to get by Thurman down the back straightaway, trying to take that spot back, and looks like he's got it going in turn 3. Joe Thurman on the outside of him. Jarrett comes up the racetrack a little bit. Side by side down the front straightaway.
They are battling, but not for position. Jarrett is 2 laps down to the field, where Thurman is running right at the edge of the top 5. Still smoke from Ottinger's car.
And if it is oil smoke, it's not going to last long. That's for doggone sure, because there isn't so much oil in there.
Rick
Bobby
Mast.
Allison with no power steering, doing a great job out there.
Is he not about the toughest old bird on the circuit?
He is tough.
Old, young, whatever.
He is a tough guy, but Brad Teague passed him on the outside down the front straightaway. And look, Earnhardt has caught Ingram, Mike. He is right there.
Earnhardt's team that services that car, the same that works on his Winston Cup car Sunday. And they got quite a boost earlier today, Benny, winning the Union 76 Pit Crew Championship for the 2nd year in a row.
2nd year in a row. I didn't remember them fellas winning. Oh, look, Earnhardt dives underneath Jack Ingram down the back straightaway off turn 2. Ingram has no choice, does he, Mike?
Nope. Earnhardt has the bottom groove, and as we've seen all day long in this race, that is the place to be. And look how well his car sticks on the bottom.
I can't believe that. Dale Earnhardt's car coming off that corner right on that white line, and that is so hard to do.
And look at the advantage those two have opened up on 3rd place. Earnhardt's the leader, car number 8, Ingram in 11. There's the 3rd place car, well back. About half a straightaway behind. That's Tommy Houston.
You know, and I've been kind of watching Dale Earnhardt today just to see how he was driving. He's been aggressive, but he hadn't touched the sole yet.
Dale Earnhardt leads Jack Ingram at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Tommy Houston is the 3rd place car. Rodney Howard running right up there in the Ford. So too is Rick Mast and Ken Bouchard.
Dale Earnhardt did get by Jack Ingram, but he isn't driving away. Ingram hanging in there.
There's the battle behind them. Bouchard along with Rick Mast. And a scoring correction on Dale Jarrett's car. He is on the lead lap and is battling those cars for position.
Jack Ingram staying right there, and Tommy Houston, he's hanging there tough today.
He's caught up a lot, Benny. He was almost half a straightaway back, but the race pace has slowed somewhat. Mike Alexander is in there battling with the leaders. He is 1 lap down in car number 84.
Look, Ingram trying to get by Earnhardt down the front straightaway. They're side by side. Now, is Earnhardt going to be able to drive on the outside?
Ooh, they touch. Ingram just muscled Earnhardt out of the way.
Earnhardt hadn't touched the sole, but he has been touched one time already today, I can tell you that.
Well, that may get his fire lit. We'll see. It is the 12th lead change of the day as Jack Ingram goes back in front. Tommy Houston runs in the 3rd spot.
I'm very impressed with the way that Jack Ingram and Tommy Houston, both those cars today, have been running. You know, these big racetracks, these super speedways are not their forte. They're more accustomed to the half-mile and quarter-mile, 3rd-mile racetracks all over the country. But yet they've been here, they've come today, they've adapted. Cars been running super.
And it's not often that the Grand National Series regulars will beat the Winston Cup drivers in this type of racing on the super speedways.
You're exactly right. Normally when these cars go to Daytona, to Darlington, to Charlotte, Rockingham, it's always a Winston Cup driver that wins the event. I don't know if Earnhardt's going to be able to pull it off today against these fellows or not.
Earnhardt rides 2nd. Ingram, car number 11, the race leader. Houston is 3rd. Rodney Howard in the Ford is 4th. Ken Bouchard is 5th. 6th is Dale Jarrett. 7th is Rick Mast. 8th, Joe Thurman. 9th is Brad Teague. Charlie Luck runs 10th. And L.D. Ottinger is still on the lead lap. He's the 11th place car. Mike Alexander and Jimmy Hensley are a lap down. So too Robert Ingram Jr. and Bosco Lowe. You have Davey Allison with Bobby Allison driving in relief. Next in line.
Here's Earnhardt back alongside Ingram, trying to get alongside as they go down in turn 1. He can't make it. Ingram to the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt has to settle back in behind him in second place.
Those two cars battling as Tommy Houston. Looks like Houston's giving them a bit of breathing room. Perhaps not intentionally.
It may be they may get in some breathing room from Tommy Houston.
Well, the race pace has picked back up. They're turning quicker laps with Earnhardt on the challenge now.
Tommy Houston looks like he's drifting back considerably right now. Maybe he's got a problem. We'll have to check with that.
Now, the white car in the middle of that pack is Mike Alexander. He's the former Winston Racing Series National Short Track Champion. He's one lap behind. The blue and white car, that's the Ford of Rodney Howard, having a great run here today.
Tommy Houston, very unlikely sponsor, Southern Biscuit Flour. I guess in the Southeast, these fellas, these people make those good biscuits. I guess they need a good flour.
It is interesting to see a company like that in auto racing, and many of these consumer product companies that are not auto parts related, trying to attract the folks that are the fans of this sport.
Houston staying out there right in front of Alexander and Rodney Howard. He's not be able to make any ground on Jack Ingram or the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt. Ingram in 11, Dale Earnhardt in 8, the black car.
We saw Mike Alexander a bit ago. There he is right in the middle of that pack of 3 cars, the bottom of the screen. He'd love to get his lap back and have a chance to challenge. His car sponsor today, Protecta-Liner, also the sponsor of the race.
And a Protecta-Liner is a piece of rubber that goes on in the bed of a pickup truck, back in the bed to keep from scarring it up when you're hauling things around.
There are about 8 guys here today that wish they had them on the right front fenders of their cars. They got pretty well scarred around. Here is Earnhardt again.
Trying it one more time down the front straightaway.
Well, that's the place to do it, Benny. He may make it work this time. Earnhardt has the lead going into turn 1.
Boy, it looks like these two cars are so evenly matched today. Ingram and Earnhardt, the cars, it's hard to tell if anyone has an advantage. I don't think anyone does.
And I didn't see Ingram slip coming off the corner. So Earnhardt really had to work to get underneath him. There's Alexander in 84, a lap down, and Tommy Houston, the 3rd place car, number 6. Here's Ingram
trying it back again. He can't make it. Earnhardt drives down to the bottom of the racetrack.
It's like a tag team match.
Tommy Houston's car not working quite as well as it was earlier on. As we saw him going into turn 3 there, he let the car drift up the racetrack about a half a car lane. When the cars are really working well, they stay right on the bottom of the racetrack. Never go up that half a lane.
Mike Alexander can't do anything with him. Nor can Rodney Howard in the Ford. At the top of your screen, Rick Mast is closing in, though. Mast in 22. Earnhardt looking for his 2nd win of the season in this division. He has yet to win in Winston Cup competition. But he has this car humming to perfection. I said earlier, Teresa Earnhardt, his wife, is the car owner on this machine, but he has the same crew on race day pretty much. The Richard Childress team that crews his Wrangler Goodwrench Chevrolet 30 times a year on the Winston Cup division.
And they are good. They can change those tires faster than anybody down there, as witnessed by their winning the Pit Crew Championship just earlier today.
They just lapped past Brett Hearn, the Kinnelon, New Jersey driver, who is the 15th place car. A standout on the dirt tracks in the Northeast, running a selected, a limited schedule of Grand National Series races this year. There's 3rd place Tommy Houston along with Mike Alexander, lapping some slower traffic. And Rick Mast has caught the Ford of Rodney Howard.
He's caught him now. The next thing he's got to do is try to pass him, and sometimes that's a lot easier said than done. Earnhardt putting a couple of car links on Jack Ingram.
This is about the biggest lead anybody's had in the last 20 laps or so. We'll be back with the finish. Rockingham, North Carolina, the Protecta-Liner 200 drawing toward a close as Dale Earnhardt has extended his lead over Jack Ingram. There's Earnhardt's car number 8, the GM Goodwrench Parts Pontiac, lapping past Ed Barrier, who finally did get his smoking problems fixed.
And Dale Jarrett, we saw him earlier on. He's off the pace right now. Earnhardt goes by him on the outside with ease.
Jarrett now goes a lap down. Rick Mast gets underneath Ken Bouchard. That's for 5th position. Mast in car 22. Bouchard in the Buick number 10, the Marty Bazema car.
There's Brad Teague trying to get by the 45 of Charlie Luck.
And that's for 7th spot. So though the laps wind down, looks like the racing, Benny, has heated up.
It sure has, because I think they're all smelling the checkered flag. They see it in the air, and it's time to get those spots. If you're going to get them, now's the time to do it. Earnhardt, he smells the victory. He smells the checkered flag. He's just slowly pulling away from Jack Ingram. But his car, as you mentioned earlier, is working so well today. Right on the bottom there is a car smoker. That's
Bobby Allison.
Bobby Allison in Davy's car.
A lot of smoke coming out from underneath the right front wheel well. And Allison will go to pit road. Tough break late in the event.
Sure was, because they've been through a lot today driving the car without power steering. They needed a good finish.
Bobby Allison driving in relief of his son Davey.
Car is going awful slow. It's like the engine is not running at all, Mike.
Allison coasts on to pit road as we draw near the finish. The black car is Earnhardt, car number 8, the race leader. 11 is Ingram. Earnhardt looking for his 2nd win of the season. There is another Ingram, Robert Ingram Jr., no relation to Jack, and he's running 1 lap down.
And that's the Ramada Inn special.
Earnhardt will have some traffic to contend with before this one gets the checkered flag, and that may be an opportunity for Jack Ingram.
That may be exactly what Jack Ingram needs to go ahead and win this race. Some heavy traffic.
Mike Bonicelli, the Colorado driver, who brought out the 4th caution of the day, about to be overlapped by the race leader. They move past Brett Hearn's car for the 2nd time.
Ingram's looks like he's cut the gap in half.
He has closed up as Earnhardt has to work race traffic. Bosco Lowe is the car on the inside, and here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Bobby Allison, in driving for Davey, is now in the pits. And there's lots of smoke coming up the right side of the car under the hood. There's also a lot of liquid on the right front tire, almost as if it may be either oil or water or possibly brake fluid. They made a couple of adjustments underneath, dropped the hood down, wiped the windshield. They're having a conversation with Bobby. Things have not gone well for this team at all this weekend.
Bobby Allison will get a finish out of it for his son. Goes back on the racetrack.
Earnhardt got by that, disposed of the traffic, and still has about a 15 car length advantage over Jack Ingram.
And we saw that time how Ingram's car was working way up higher on the racetrack going into the corner. There's Bosco Lowe and Robert Ingram Jr. They are battling for position. And that looks to be back about 12th spot.
Mike Bonicelli, he's behind him just watching the action, a newcomer.
And there you see the separation, 1st to 2nd place.
But Ingram's car, you're right, it's coming off the corner, it's going up the racetrack. He just can't keep it on the bottom. And unless you can, at this racetrack, you got problems.
Bosco Lowe in 87, Robert Ingram Jr. in car number 1. And scoring confirms they are racing for 13th spot, 2 laps down. Now Earnhardt's lead really extended. This time, though, Ingram got around turn 4 on the bottom of the racetrack.
He stayed on the bottom of the racetrack that time, and it looked like that the advantage kind of stabilized. But 5 laps to go with this kind of a lead, Earnhardt, he's going to be tough to beat.
That's not a lot of time for Jack Ingram, even if he can get that car to handle on the bottom of the racetrack. Back in 3rd is Tommy Houston, while Rick Mast is fighting Rodney Howard for the 4th spot. Mast in a Pontiac, Howard in a Ford. 4-lap sign. That's got to be tough to see when you're in Jack Ingram's seat.
He don't want to see that fella hold up the hand that says 4 laps to go.
Back straightaway. 3.5 more turns around the racetrack. Heavy pack of traffic behind the race leaders. Still that good battle for 13th spot.
You know that Dale Earnhardt's going to make wife Teresa very happy today, particularly when he brings home the check for the victory for her race car.
This race will pay nearly $10,000 to the victor. Should it be Earnhardt, Ingram will earn almost as much. NASCAR has structured the purse of this race to award substantial bonuses to the drivers that run all the races on this circuit. And there are 3 of them. Houston in 3rd place on the left. Rick Mast has passed Rodney Howard for 4th. Howard, the 24 car, the blue and white car, is 5th, and Ken Bouchard is right there. He's the 6th place car. Now this looks like it will be quite a battle right down to the checker.
This is very exciting, coming down for the checkered flag.
Here are the leaders in the back straightaway. That gaggle of cars racing 2 laps down and then a long way back to 3rd place Tommy Houston.
Earnhardt pulling away right now. Looks like that he's putting a few more car lengths on Jack Ingram. He has a white flag if he can just make it back.
Here's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th behind lap car Mike Alexander, Tommy Houston, Rick Mast, Rodney Howard, and Ken Bouchard.
And they all saw the white flag. They realized this is the last lap. If you're going to pass, it's got to be now or never.
Well, Earnhardt can just about cash the check as he comes off turn number 4. Back to the start-finish line. Checkered flag. Dale Earnhardt wins the Protecta-Liner 200. Jack Ingram finishes in 2nd. And it looks like 3rd will go to Tommy Houston, with Rick Mast taking 4th, Rodney Howard 5th, 6th to Ken Bouchard, and Brad Teague will be the 7th place car.
Earnhardt was impressive today, but I tell you what, I was impressed by Ingram and Tommy Houston.
Houston drove an excellent race, but to me, Rodney Howard had the standout performance. I have never seen that Ford of Marvin Thaxton run that fast or that well. There's L.D. Ottinger coming around, who ended up a lap down, back in 10th spot.
Dale Earnhardt certainly on a roll. 1 in Daytona. His Winston Cup car run very well at Daytona and Richmond.
We'll go to victory lane after this. Dale Earnhardt scores his 2nd win of the Grand National campaign, winning at Daytona and here at Rockingham today in the Protecta-Liner 200. We're again having audio trouble with Dick Berggren, so while Ned Jarrett is in victory lane to interview Dale for Motor Racing Network Radio, let's listen in.
Dale, congratulations. Good run.
Thank you, Ned. I'd like to thank Goodwrench and Wrangler and everybody that's helped us out, Union and Goodyear and Champion, all the people that helped us all week. Everything worked real good on the car. It was a little tight. Had a rear end pump went bad, and as the rear end was fixing to go out of it, it was smoking hot real bad. I could smell the grease. You know, it's just a pretty good day for us. Jack was, pretty strong, and I thought Tommy Houston was going to be strong all day, but, we just kept wearing them down. We made some adjustments on the car and got it better. It was just a great race for us.
Did the racetrack sort of come to you?
Well, not really. I had to adjust the car to get to it. I never was satisfied with the car the way it drove. I just had to adapt the driving, my groove and my driving style to the car and to the racetrack to make it work a little better.
Dale Earnhardt wins the Protecta-Liner Truck Beds 200. There's the winning driver and car owner, his wife Teresa. Congratulations.